BodyBags, where horror lies.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm your Thursday guy for BodyBags, and this week I am doing, for 2023, Nefarious. And, the movie goes along something like this. On the day of his scheduled execution, a convicted serial killer gets a psychiatric evaluation during which he claims he's a demon, and further claims that before their time is over, the psychiatrist will commit 3 murders of his own. I'd say that this movie was a really nice movie. So this is an indie movie, effectively anyway. It's an indie movie that ended up getting picked up by, a little bit of a smaller company, but, you know, still push it out, right? A way of putting it, I guess, is a Christian horror movie. And I mean, I guess you could say that because it kind of is. They talk a lot about good and evil in it, since, you know, the serial killer is saying that he's a demon. They end up talking a lot about stuff nowadays. A lot of, like, problems nowadays. And I think it's interesting because you get both sides of the argument, because you have the demon, right, and then you have the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist is a more liberal type guy, and the demon's like, you know, knows all the answers kind of thing. So like the psychiatrist is like a normal guy right now. When I say normal guy right now, not really, but like kind of, yeah. Who's like thinking that everything that we're doing nowadays is good, right? Everything, great, let's go kind of thing. When in reality, it's not really good, but you know, if it makes us happy kind of thing, right? I thought it was interesting watching this. And I think a lot of people should watch it, at least once, right? Because it's like, in reality, right, you have a lot of people, and for the most part, everyone agrees that this one thing is the problem. But how to solve that problem is very different on like both sides, or on 3 sides, right? And I think the problem ends up being is that we're both trying to like figure out how to keep going, but I'm not going your way and you're not going my way kind of thing. So how are we gonna keep going? How are we gonna move on? And it's just, this is just one of those movies that would show people, I guess, the right version. But, you know, not really, because this is them talking, right? And that's kind of it. For the most part of this movie, it's just like the 2 talking to each other. It's kind of like reading the book of Job, where it's just the 3 of them talking to each other the entire time. Dang. This is the cat trying to come in right now. I don't know if it's picking up or not. I just hear it, it's annoying. So, when this movie came out, a lot of, like, the critics were, like, really down on it kind of thing. Like, on Rotten Tomatoes, it was, like, 30-something%. The critics gave it, like, 30% kind of thing. Now it was, like, 30-40 people, but it was, like, high critics on Rotten Tomatoes. They gave it, like, a 30-40% kind of thing. But, like, the audience, which was, like, 1,000 people, gave it, like, an 80-90% kind of thing. Like, it's a really good movie. And it talks about a lot of problems nowadays, which I think is, you know, kind of, you know, big. Because it's one thing where you make a movie that's just a movie, but you have a bunch of stuff in it. And it's another thing when you have a movie that's going to talk about these stuff, because that's just quite literally what the movie is about, right? So, like, I guess it's kind of like, you know, it's like, you know, you're watching this, and then you're watching the new Halloween movies, where this, you already know what you're walking into. The new Halloween movies, you don't really know what you're walking into when it comes to, like, the politics and whatnot of it. Now, obviously it's not like, who knows if how completely true and whatnot it is when it comes to like how things work and whatnot, but there was a lot of things of this movie that were like, hey, that seems kind of accurate. For instance, the Catholic Church in like the 30s, 40s, and then obviously a lot before that, were really big on the idea that exorcisms and whatnot were things that you needed to do, if needed be, because demons, whatnot, right? But now we live in a time where we don't think demons could possess people, kind of thing, and it's like that's a thing that can happen. It's just if you want to acknowledge that or not. And then I suppose that's kind of where well, I'm not gonna go that far, not yet anyway, but when you have like a certain point of view, things make sense. If you have another, things make sense. But sometimes there's just things that just never really make sense, and that would be just life, I guess. I don't know, I'm going like in a totally different direction right now. Kind of losing my train of thought, going like into the abyss right now. The only problem, like actual problem with this movie probably, is that it can get really, really boring. So if you're tired watching this movie, you might fall asleep around an hour in it. Then again, maybe you won't, because you'll be really sucked into it. I liked the music. Now, given the music was stock music, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of some of the music kind of reminded me of some of the ambient music from Color from Outer Space with Nicolas Cage. And then the ending, the big reveal on why the psychiatrist is there, kind of thing, was very similar, at least in my opinion, kind of similar to The Mouth of Madness, I think, with Patrick Neal, I think, right? At The Mouth of Madness. In the Mouth of Madness, my bad. I'm stupid, kinda. In the Mouth of Madness. So I would say definitely watch it. Now, the only real place you could get it is either renting it from Amazon Prime or buying it at like Walmart. I mean, technically I got this from Walmart, but I pre-ordered it. I really like this movie, and I think everyone should at least watch it once, at least. Now, this isn't your cheesy horror movie where, blood's all over the place and whatnot. This is just a movie where, like, you just sit there, watch it, and think about it. And then if it changes anything you think of, or, if it at least gives you, like, a new view on something, then, there's that. But, it's just, a lot of people were hating on the movie because it's like, oh, the Christian right-wing horror movie, but then you watch it and you think about it, it's like, oh, it's a lot more deeper than that. It's not just a Christian horror movie, It's not like House or 3. This is like, it's a lot deeper than that, in my opinion. So yeah, if I had to rate this movie right now, I think I'd probably give it like a 7.8, 7.9 kind of thing. How it's styled, it's not that bad. I guess there's a couple of there's nitpicks. Every movie has nitpicks, right? And the nitpicks of this movie probably gotta be some of the, sometimes some of the dialogue doesn't really make any sense. Or you don't understand how the script is going on. Like, it's like, think of an example. One of the people that the guy apparently murders, I don't think died that day. The other two end up dying that day. But, I'm not sure, I'm not really clear on if the one person dies that day or not, but it kind of leads and points to them not, and so it's kind of like, what was the point of what the demon was saying? Just bringing that up to light, saying you killed her kind of thing? I don't know. But, I mean, other than that, just looking at what the story is and whatnot, I would say it's a good movie. A really good movie. I might even have it in the 8s, honestly. But, yeah, actually, I'll change that. If I had to rate this movie right now, I would probably give it an 8.3. With the only problems being nitpicks, and then if you're really tired, you're probably gonna fall asleep in it. So it's about an hour 40 minutes, I think, a little less, yeah. And that's funny. You go on IMDb, you look at the IMDb rating, which is like 20,000 people that rated it. Almost 6,000 of the people gave it a 10, which was the most. A little over 1,000 gave it a 1. So a lot more people loved it than people hated it. But it shows you U.S., UK, Brazil, Canada, Turkey. You know, those I guess where the people are like, you know, from the most ratings, and they're all very similar with like each one, for the most part, the majority being 10, with the only real difference being Turkey and the UK. The majority of people gave it a 7, but then again, it's just like 500 people in Turkey, and then 1,000 people in the UK, 500 people in Canada, and then almost 9,000 in the US. And so in the US alone, 4,000 people like gave it a 10 out of 10, and then 600 gave it a 1 out of 10. So I mean, I think if you think about things, you know, if you don't go crazy, if someone says X, Y, or Z, if you just like thought about it for a second or whatever, I think you'd like this movie. Or at the very least, respect the movie kind of thing, right? But like, you know, it's your opinion, whatever happens. I love it. You might not. And this is just one of those movies that are like, hey, think about it. I'm Sam. I'm your Thursday guy for BodyBags. I did Nefarious, and I gave it an 8.3 out of 10. Definitely a movie I think you should watch, but not because it's a nice cheesy horror movie that would be fun to watch with friends, just because it's a movie that I think people should watch because it like gives them a new kind of point of view on something. Unless they already think alike with the movie, then it's a different story. But if you're not, then you know it gives you an idea on how kind of how like the other side view things and whatnot. But like, I would say it's a good movie, and you definitely should watch it. And I'm not just saying it. Like, I think you should watch it. I really liked it, and I kind of like the ending, even though it's a bit confusing. But I mean, hey, what's a good horror movie if there's not any mystery in it, you know? But yeah, I'll see y'all next week. Goodbye.